Hey everybody, so it's been a while since I've been on YouTube, and I do apologize for that. YouTube videos are a lot of work, and I've been really busy in my shop. But I'm kind of got an opportunity here to try to do some videos, some instructional videos on a cabinet that I actually teach. So I'm going to explain what that's about, and then I'm going to kind of show you the project, and basically you can follow along as I build this piece. So I teach this as a class at Austin Community College. With the coronavirus, I can't continue that class anymore, but I don't want to leave my students just hanging in the wind where they don't know what to do with the project that's halfway done. So even though a lot of them don't have the equipment to finish, some of them do, and some of them may not have it now, but later on down the line, they may get into woodworking more. So this series of videos is going to be basically me teaching this class like I do at Austin Community College. It's a small wall hanging cabinet, and there's a lot of really cool fun techniques that's kind of jammed into a cabinet that otherwise looks very simple. I will get the plans together, have it on my website for purchase, so if you want to follow along, you can buy the plans and do so, or not buy the plans and just follow along. I'm trying to basically use this opportunity to benefit my students and benefit me too, as a lot of my teaching gigs have been cancelled. So let me just show you what this cabinet's about, and then our first video is going to be on prepping the side panels, and we do that a little bit differently than conventionally you might do. I'm going to get going on the panels. We're going to work on the two outer panels, divider at the top and the bottom, and I am going to change it up. Originally this was designed to be 11.5 inches at the top. I'm going to actually make it 8.5, so it's a much more narrow cabinet that would hang on the wall. So I'm going to start with this board that's basically a plain sawn board. You can see the cathedrals here, and then you can see the rift sawn here, so you got a bit of both going on with the grain. Now the way this cabinet is designed is to look at it a bit different. If you notice, this is 8/4 material. My sides are only 3/4 inch thick. So instead of me coming in here and trying to go 8-inch wide, resaw this, and probably end up with a board that's going to cut, I'm actually going to rip and flip it. So what that means is I'm going to think about this differently. Instead of doing what I just said, we're going to come here, and if I need 3/4, I'm going to go 7/8. So I'm basically going to take slices all the way across this board like this. I'm just going to rip it, and then I'm going to flip them over and glue them back together. And what that will do is it will give me nice rift sawn, and yes, in here it gets a bit of a quarter sawn grain, but I can mix those up and it gets a very, very stable panel, and I like the aesthetic of it. It's very straight grain because we're looking at the edge grain and not the face grain. Okay, so I have all my blanks that are going to get me my bottom, top, sides, and divider, and probably have a few extra staves as well, which may go to shelves, or maybe I can mix it up and just be more picky about it. So this one here, the Sharpies, it's kind of just showing you what I mean by rip and flip, and it's going to come a lot more clear when we actually do it. So most of this material, the sides, top, bottom, is 7/8 or it's 3/4. So you could buy 4/4 material and get most of this material out of that. The 7/8 might be a little tricky, but the problem with that is it's going to be a plain sawn board, and it's also more likely to cup on you. So this is a lot more work, but it gives you a really beautiful end result of this nice, almost like quarter sawn to rift sawn board, and you can control it. It's going to be very stable because we're then going to join the whole board and then plane it to final thickness, and it will stay flat. So I think it's worth it in the end, and it's just a fun way to look at wood a little bit differently if you haven't tried this technique before. So I'm going to go to the bandsaw. I'm going to dress one edge, go to the bandsaw, and just start ripping. that's the first one done. I won't bore you with showing you every single one, but that's basically it. I do it on the bandsaw because it just yields better. And this is a beautiful stable board. Look at that. You push that together, there's not much spring back. So it's a very nice stable board. So here's where the rip and flip gets its name from. You rip it and you flip it. So I'm gonna just stack like so. And then you glue that board up and you're gonna get a very kind of consistent grain pattern, and there's gonna be some really nice figure in this cherry too. So now I have my panels the way I want them. I'll go ahead and do the famous triangle on them. And then maybe a little overkill, but I'm gonna do in and out. So I-O, 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 I-O. Say that fast. All right, so I'm gonna do that, and then basically, I say basically a lot, but when we go to the joiner fence to square up the edges to get us a glue joint, the eye will go in towards the joiner fence, the O will go away from it, out from the joiner fence. And that just ensures if our joiner fence is not perfectly square, if it's angled a little bit, we don't end up with a situation where it's going to cup the board, especially when you're doing this. If you do them all the same way and it ends up gluing up and it cups, so it's just compensating for anything the joiner's off. It's just a good practice to get into. One of the most important things when you're joining is to be focused on how this piece relates to the outfeed table. And so when this comes through, you're taking a cut, and this should make up for the difference of that cut. It can be below a few thousandths. If you end up, when you come through and it drops down and you get a snipe on the back side, your outfeed table's too low. If you end up doing it and you put your piece down and it's rocking up and down, your outfeed table is too high. So I always, when I'm coming through, go slow, and I'm always paying attention to how this edge looks up against my outfeed table. If for some reason it starts lifting up a little bit like that, got a little bit of a gap underneath there, I know something's wrong. Okay, so we have all our panels that's been edged and ready to go. So it's probably a little hard to see because my camera work sucks, but it looks really nice and tight all the way along that joint. There's no need to do anything else but just glue. Long grain to long grain is going to be incredibly strong. And one thing I will say, when I start doing this, you'll see it. I'll spread the glue. And I kind of take my time, even though in the video I'll probably speed it up. I take my time, putting pressure on back and forth over the clamps. This panel, 3 clamps, 1 in the middle, and then on the outside edges. If you go just clamp it real fast, it's just going to move around and go all over the place. And that's why most people don't like glue ups, panel glue ups. Just take your time and just slowly build up the pressure, and within just a few minutes, you're not going to be able to move it around even if you wanted to. So it works pretty well. Just regular yellow Type on 1, I think this is. I have this, my little knife to clean off the glue, and my clamps have already been pre-taped.